The struggles of addiction.
We're not experts, but we'll give you our 2 cents.
On the next Dare to Be Better.
With Ray and Sid. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Then count us off.
3, 2.
Welcome, one and all, to an all-new Dare to Be Better.
With Ray and Sid.
How you doing today?
I'm excellent.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us once again. We hope to bring you a fantastic show. Now, some of these shows were shiny and happy. Some of these shows we get a little more serious. We try to look through the email, and we try to be fair and judicious about these things. We have a lot of feedback on the struggles of addiction. So we thought, you know what? There's a lot of email, a lot of people who, for some reason, I guess they want to know our take on this. We're not addicts as in the traditional clinical sense, I suppose. We're not addicted to alcoholic substances, drugs, neither pharmaceuticals nor what are the other ones called? Like cocaine and them. Can't think of the word.
And we're not
narcotics.
AA. Yeah, we're not, and we're not AA.
No, we're not in AA, not in any programs, but we have dealt with people in our lives who have been users, addicts, and I think it's really touched everybody. So it is a subject where we can all relate. Kind of like knowing somebody with cancer or, something similar. I've been very, very lucky in my life where I think I probably have it in my bloodline. I think we all might have somebody in our bloodline that was addicted to something which overtook their lives. And it becomes a serious demon, and it's literally a killer in a lot of cases. So again, we're not doctors, we're not professionals. You ask for our 2 cents, we can give you our 2 cents. But please, if anybody out there is experiencing problems with drugs or alcohol or anything, within that degree of seriousness, see a professional. Seek out professional help, medical help, psychiatric help, whatever you need.
Right.
So, I'm sure you've come across people in your life who have been addicted to whatever substance.
So this is how I became the type of choreographer that I became. So I was doing all this choreography out in LA, and I had this realization that majority of individuals that was working with, had some sort of an addiction, whether to a drug, to alcohol, to whatever. So I always try to do things to better people's lives, not just do things to do things. So I was gigging with A-listers, had A-list projects and labels, and the deal became this. You want to work with me and you want to gig in my project or whatever that is, absolutely. But if you walk in this door, the job is you are committing to becoming a better person. You're committing to organizing your life, and you're committing to taking responsibility for where you are. And that means if you're an addict, you are in AA. If you're having those type of issues, you're seeking out help. Now, one of the most brilliant things, I've worked with addicts for decades, probably a good 20 years, worked with strictly addicts. And because I found my niche in choreography, and it is these people in general, they make a change because they want something.
Right.
So I figured that out. So these, I call them kids, right? Because they thought I was much younger than I was because I can look young.
Right.
But really, I wasn't as young as them. So once they found out my age, they would have respect for me. Then they would find out the gig that I had, and they want the gig. So the deal is, you want these things, you come in and we're going to work to better your life. And I would say a good 90% come in. They start with AA. There's no coming in. You can't come in drunk. You cannot be stripping. You're going to be here. You're not stripping. You're not working on the street. You're not doing any of that.
Right.
You're coming in to better your life. And I will tell you, using choreography as my vehicle to helping individuals find their value, their purpose, their balance was one of the greatest gifts, I think, in my life, and that I gave to others. And it was a very, very difficult, I mean, I did that for years, very difficult, because people who are addicts, they're a difficult demographic because they're struggling with so much, right? And their habit of using to get what they want, and then you saying, well, you can't use. If you want this, you can't use. So you're going to have to determine how badly you want this. 90% though would decide, I want to gig so bad. I want to dance so badly. All right, I'll go to AA.
And just to get into AA or be part of that program, you have to admit you have the problem. Nobody's doing it for you.
That's right.
You're the one who decides, I'm an addict. And I mean, I've heard, feedback on AA, both favorable and otherwise.
Yes,
and I think every outlet is going to have criticism. For the most part, I think they've been fantastic. I mean, they've saved a lot of lives. And, whether or not you decide you're an alcoholic or a user, I mean, you can stop either way.
Right.
I've seen people stop cold turkey. Being in the industry that I'm in, the music side of it, obviously I've been on tour with a lot of people who I come across promoters, DJs, performers, all of them, they're enablers and they're users a lot of times, so it's always around.
Right.
Anything you want, you can get.
Absolutely.
And a lot of them are functional users.
Yes.
And they're not all fall down sloppy drunks, or,
Right.
you won't find them passed out in the back of a bus per se, but a lot of them just, do enough to get by. Some are just recreational. And it's people are people. There's no two are going to be alike. You're going to have different degrees of use and varying degrees of results and consequences. Some end up dead, and some just say, I wanted to try it once or twice, and I walked away.
Yeah.
But, addiction can also be, it's not just limited to alcohol and
It's food,
drugs.
it's sex, it's
Right.
television, it's your computer, it's
Oh my God, the computer,
all of that.
the devices, the apps. Yeah. Yeah, and it's all addiction.
That's correct. Yeah, and one thing I did learn with working with these individuals, it's a lot of what I know people get tired of hearing this, but I have to say it again. Even working with this demographic, which I've done for 20 some odd years, it does come down to gratitude. If they lack gratitude for the life that they have, the opportunity to help themselves, the opportunity to take ownership for the choices you've made, and to have gratitude for the opportunity to make change, you're not making change. You're not going to go make change. You can go sit in AA as long as you want to sit in AA. It's not the sitting there in AA that's going to help you I don't want to say overcome, because once an addict, always an addict.
Right.
To help you manage your life, manage the decisions you're making, and how to manage your thoughts and your habits. What you do when you're under pressure. But I'm really grateful that I did find my niche as a choreographer, and I would have never in a trillion years thought that that's what my choreography would come to, which is really working with so many addicts. But the fact of the matter is, many in that industry, they're an addict at something. Not
That's
all
true.
of them, but many
So-
of them.
What would you define as addiction? Would it be that you simply can't function without it? You can't start your day without it. You can't finish your day without it.
Yeah.
You'll have physical reactions without it.
Yeah, addict again. Oh, thank you. Okay, an addict again is when you have to have that, right? You have to have it. And maybe I can make it through, all day without having it. But when I get home, I have to have that. So it's something that drives you. You make decisions based upon it.
Yeah, you rotate your schedule around it, right?
You live your life according to it. Well, really, it rules you,
It rules
right?
you, sure. Supersedes anything else. Yeah, as far as priority on your list.
I was in a relationship with a man whom I will say, I've said this before. It took me a long time to really fall in love with someone, and I would consider him as one of them that I have fallen in love with. And he was so good to my children, a good man, really good man. And in that relationship, he was triggered by work one day because he'd been sober for a long time. Triggered by work, he changed jobs and the pressure, and immediately, boom, just started drinking again. But it was really too bad because, my youngest daughter became very attached to him. And as a single mother, I just couldn't bring an alcoholic into the family.
Absolutely not.
But he now has been sober for, again, because, it's a journey.
Of course.
His second time, he's been now sober, I think, 4 years. I'm really proud of him. He's a good man, but that, alcoholics or addiction, it will own you. It takes your life. It ruins your life. It takes opportunity and balance and happiness away from you.
Sure.
It's a bad place to get, but there is help. However, it's not just the action, because I would talk to him about this all the time. You can't just say, I'm going to AA. It's not enough. You have to go. You have to be there with the attitude of taking responsibility.
Right.
Gratitude for the opportunity to take responsibility and to manage your habits, manage your thought process, manage your life. Because you don't overcome. It's not something that just goes away.
No, you deal with it daily. They say one day at a time, sure.
Of your life.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, aside from the 12 steps, they have, not the atonements, but what do you call it when you go back and you fix things in your life that you...
I don't know what they call that. Because I used to go to AA with him to support him.
I was a sponsor too. As, as a non-user or a non-addict. I said, is that okay? They said, of course, anybody could be a sponsor.
Yeah, because you're the support system. You're there. Instead of them making the typical decision they're going to make, hopefully they call you before they go make that decision.
Help me out, people. What's the term called for when you make atonements? There's a certain word
there is
for
a word for it.
We'll put it in the comments, or we'll put it in the captions.
Yeah.
When I find out, but write in, help us out.
Yeah.
RayandSidShow@gmail.com.
Yeah.
I'll send you something nice. I'll send you a Tootsie Roll.
Oh.
That was so random. Remember Tootsie Rolls?
I love them.
Do you?
The only reason I don't eat them anymore is once you have one, take off the cap in the back.
No. Yeah.
No. No boy, no.
Kid.
Oh, I love Tootsie Rolls.
Good stuff. I've had two specific instances in my recent life where addiction has really, really hit hard. One was a bandmate, someone I toured with and cared deeply for, and he just couldn't handle this one particular demon, two of them actually, and it got him basically fired from the situation we were in. And I implored him and begged him, to come to his senses after a disagreement he had with somebody. He wasn't hearing me because...
Did he go drink after that, or what do you mean by that?
He was under the influence. At the time, he made the bad decision to walk off of a job.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
It just wasn't... nothing I could say was gonna bring him around, because I was using logic and he wasn't thinking logically at the time.
That's
clearly, because it wasn't him doing the thinking.
That's correct.
And, I'm like, please don't do this. Why would you do this? And there was... the only rhyme or reason was... you're under that influence. So it cost him dearly. He's come back around. I think he's
Yeah.
off of that and doing really well.
Good.
And
Yeah.
you have to sometimes hit that rock bottom. I know that sounds so cliche, but it's true.
But it is true.
Yeah.
Most people, and I hate to say this with most everything, but especially with an addict, usually they have to hit complete bottom
Yeah.
because, the habit is, well, I'll just take a little drink. It'll be fine. It's just going to soothe me for a minute,
Yeah. Just until I have to sell the guitar, or just until I have to sell the car. But then I'll stop, The concessions you'll make within your head
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah. Or I can stop. I've heard that.
Yeah,
so
I
many
can stop anytime I want.
Sydney, I can stop. You can give me this gig. I can come in, I can dance. It's not a big deal. I'm a social drinker.
Who are you trying to convince, you or me?
And I said, well, great. That's fine. You can be a social drinker, but as long as you want this gig, these are the terms. I'm not telling you can't have it, but these are the terms.
And people out there who've had these addictions, whether or not you're struggling or you've overcome, we'd love to hear from you because, again, we're speaking as two people on the outside because people have written in and asked us to talk about this. So we absolutely welcome, implore you to weigh in and give us your stories. And we
Yes.
can always do a follow-up.
Oh, that would be lovely.
Yeah.
I would like that.
All right. The second one was very recent, and it was over the summer. Somebody even closer to me, and he unfortunately did not get out from under his demons, and it cost him his life.
Yeah.
When I heard the very, very sad news one morning when I woke up, I was sad, was not shocked. I wasn't. Unfortunately, I wasn't shocked, and I was like, well, it was coming. I was actually sadly expecting this. And, it's the worst time to ever feel right about something.
I know.
But,
Yeah. It's hard. I mean, again, I've deliberately, it's where I put myself, been working with that demographic for so long that, and with my Table Talk with Sid,
right.
it was such a beautiful thing, which
I love that show, by the way.
Oh, you're sweet.
I was one of those followers.
You were.
Yeah, you had a lot of followers. You still do.
And a lot of them, I'm going to tell you, was the addict community. I had a lot of addicts that followed and recovering addicts. And, it's a hard demographic, but I loved them. It would be, I say that, it's a love-hate thing, I think, because I love it. I get texts often from, past dancers or artists that said, Sydney, I've been mad at you for years and years, but I'm clean now. And it was that extra push, of encouragement, meaning you can't gig. It's as simple as that. You don't get to have greatness when you're behaving, your habits are less than mediocre, especially when you're a person that has value. You're capable of having the things you want in your life, but those are not freebies. And you don't get to have those when something else is influencing your life, But I'll get texts regularly from people who have said, I got one, 3 months ago from a girl. She goes, I've been mad at you for 8 years.
Wow.
8 years.
And they were holding on to that.
She goes, but I've had this realization. I'm sober now. I've been sober for 24 months, for 2 years.
Good.
And it was because I've been angry with you. And once I had the realization that what you were asking of me was not for me, but was actually for the betterment of her.
Right.
So I enjoy when I get those. That makes it all worthwhile.
Absolutely. Yeah, it just seems like, everybody has a story, and some are easier than others. Some are very, very rocky roads. Like I said, I do have it in my family to an extent. The history of my family, nobody actively, thank God. But I never really had the urge or the compulsion to try anything like cocaine or anything of that nature.
Right.
Kids around, in our day, when we were in high school and whatever, they were smoking weed. It was so much different, I think, back then. I hear about some of the drugs they're mixing in with supposedly marijuana now, and it's like, my God.
Yeah.
The fentanyl problem in the country. I don't know much about this at all, thank God. But apparently, what they're doing is so much more. And I guess that's just the nature of maybe the drug culture. It's you ramp it up, you make it cheaper, it becomes more deadly. Cocaine became crack, and it's horrific. I mean, I couldn't imagine being a part of that culture where I call it a culture. It's not a culture at all, but just that horrible feeling. It has to be the most isolating feeling.
Yeah.
Until you get that support.
Yeah, it's crazy. So in Utah, I don't know if people know this, but it's one of the leading capitals for rehab facilities, because they'll go put them up in the mountains.
Where you can't get to anything.
And
Smart.
I've had the privilege of going in as a speaker to several of them. And when I walk in, it's an interesting thing, because here sit all these souls, right? All of them they're looking for happiness. They're looking for forgiveness. They're looking for peace in their life. And this last group that I spoke to, man, there was a lot of them there, but it really is. I had a woman come up to me afterwards, and again, I'm sorry, gratitude. She said, Sydney, until you brought it up, I didn't realize that gratitude is the vehicle. She said, if I can just work on finding gratitude, like finding my gratitude for this opportunity to even struggle, and finding my gratitude for the opportunity to improve upon myself, right? These things. She said, I can't even believe it's like an awakening for me. I have control over my life, and all I simply have to do is first work to find gratitude. And she didn't realize that it's not something she just talks about, that it's actually a feeling.
Right. I've heard over the years, there's been, of course, I'm going to say an increasing debate, because now debates, of course, are visual. We can see them online on our phones all the time. But, addiction is obviously a problem. And you always hear the opposing sides talking about addiction being a disease or a choice that you make. I think once you have it, it is a disease. But at some point, you do ultimately have to make the choice of picking up a drink.
Right.
Unless somebody's literally putting a gun to your head and saying, here, put this in your arm.
Right.
I mean, it is making a choice.
Right.
But it will develop into a disease.
Yes.
Some people say, well, it's in my blood, it's in my history. And I guess if you're a crack-addicted baby, born to a mother who is, again, and if I'm talking out my ass, people, please tell me. But it
I'm going to tell you, you're with a community, they'll tell you.
Exactly.
They have no
Right.
problem.
They won't have it, exactly. But, I mean, I think it's both, honestly.
Sure.
You make the choice, and then you're sick.
And also, after talking to this last woman at this last event that I spoke at, she said that she had that realization that a lot of where she's having her hiccup is she is constantly looking at what's frustrating her, what she's not getting, what she's not good enough to get, what's been a problem for her, the short end of the stick that she was dealt the bad card or whatever.
Right.
And she said, Sid, I am going to take that next approach instead of spending my time and saying, well, I drink because my life is so stressful and people are this to me or that to me. Instead, she's decided that she's going to start looking at it as, wow, I have the opportunity to, even if I am frustrated, I'm grateful I have a job, and I have the opportunity to find a new job, those kind of things. And I did hear from her again. She's doing really well. I'm proud of her. And
that's awesome.
And she said it was really literally for her, because everyone's different.
Right.
But for her, it was just changing her point of view, which we've talked about, right? Her point of view and the things, her belief system, that instead of, instead of believing that she's always struggling, she decided to begin to believe that she's always learning, because we talked about its point of view. Yeah, you can struggle every day, or you're being highly educated and you're learning how to overcome, or you're learning how to manage your frustration or whatever.
Right. And there are people out there who can have a stressful day, have a drink or two, or go out one night and just get blasted and they're fine. And they won't do it again for 6 to 12 months. And, you hear about it. Again, I don't really think you can make a blanket determination on what constitutes an addiction of any type, And again, we're leaning heavily on alcohol and drugs because they're the most, I'll call them celebrated, most recognized and addressed. But, food, obesity is a huge problem in this country.
Huge problem.
Pornography can be if it's keeping you from work, of course.
Or keeping you from getting closer in your relationship.
If you're substituting that, sure, absolutely. Yeah.
You can have addiction to shopping.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean,
My God.
anything
Gambling.
anything that rules your life, that keeps you from making stable, balanced decisions,
Right.
you may want to look at.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of unconventional addictions that maybe, aren't as recognized. I mean, obviously, technology has been a big one. I can't get my daughter off of her phone if my life depended on it. It's like a morphine drip. It's like if I take it away, she stops breathing. It's like a fish out of water. But yeah, things online. Like you mentioned pornography online. It's right there at your fingertips.
Right.
Online gambling is on your phone. Sydney's addicted to coughing.
I thought I was going to make it.
You're doing great.
Okay.
Yeah, gambling obviously is a big one. And I mean, there's probably a million things, you can make your priority.
This is funny. One of the comedians said, sex addicts. He goes, you've never heard a man, let me think about this. You never think that someone's a sex addict if you're getting, I think it's Maniscalco. Is that his name?
Sebastian Maniscalco.
Yeah, it does a joke on sex addicts. The fact that no one thinks it's a problem.
Right.
Oh yeah, you don't have you're not a sex addict if you're single, good looking and out having a good time, but you're a sex addict if you're a guy who's married. I don't know. Anyway, yes, it's
I get
stuff
the gist,
that,
yeah.
it's stuff that keeps you from doing things, right? That you choose, that betters your life, that balances you out.
It could be board games. It could be, I can't stop playing Scrabble because it's keeping me from leaving the house.
Control addict.
Yeah.
Someone that has to be in control of everything.
Oh, yeah.
There's just, and again, life is about that, finding balance, and finding forgiveness, finding awareness, all these things. And life is always going to shovel us new stuff.
Right.
Because it's what keeps you on your toes.
What about the idiot box? The TV?
Oh, sure. Well, that's now the phone.
The phone, sure.
And the computer. Because they're watching what they would have watched on television.
Yeah, you can leave the house now.
Yeah, and with it now.
Right. You have it on the train, on the bus. Yeah. Hopefully you're not driving while you're watching
Oh,
TV.
no, they're doing it. Like out in Utah, they had to do what is it? PR? What is that called?
Public service.
Yeah.
PSA.
Like announcement that you cannot Zoom. You cannot do a Zoom meeting and call in your car while you're driving.
Unbelievable. You had to tell people this.
Yeah.
You can do a con call. You can talk to somebody. You can't be looking at the screen and looking at the road. And if they have to tell you that, you probably shouldn't be driving a vehicle. Unbelievable. Well, you definitely should weigh in on this one. I think we're going to get a ton
I would love
of
it.
responses to this because, like you said, it's touched almost every life that we know. And anybody out there suffering with this and struggling, please, as we mentioned, go get professional help. I mean, we'll be here to support you.
Yeah, we're
but,
chatting about it.
We're just hanging out and chatting. We're just giving our 2 cents.
But you have to have your support system. And I am going to make note of this because I've been doing this for so long. Just AA. And then, because I would have, many of these dancers who are like, well, I'm doing AA, but they don't use their sponsor. Or I'm using my sponsor. I'm there, but I'm not going to AA. It's a program. It's everything links to the next thing.
Right.
And doing half of your program or some of your program, it's not going to work. It's like going to work some of the time, doing your work halfway there. You're not going to be successful at it. You're going to get fired.
Right.
You know, so it's the same thing. If you're going to do the program, you want to help yourself. You want to learn to manage your life and organize your thoughts. You're going to have to do the program.
Absolutely.
Not one over the other.
Yeah.
And it's
Take
a
all the help you
continual
can,
thing.
sure.
You
Right.
don't go this week and then miss for 6 months
No.
and go again. It's something you're committed to. And everybody has a certain amount that should be gone to each week. Everyone's a little different, but majority of the time you need to be going more than just once every 2 weeks. Even
Absolutely.
once a week. You know,
Right.
so
Make that your addiction, so to speak. You know,
Yeah.
make that your new obsession.
and everybody's different. Everybody has to organize that with their sponsor. You know.
It does seem like that does become the new addiction. The addiction, you know, because an addictive personality really doesn't change. But if you channel everything into the program,
Into the program.
it seems like that's why it works, because some of them go every day.
Yeah, some do. Some go 3 days a week. And again, that's not for me to say, right?
Right.
It's that individual, their support system, and their
you
sponsor.
need, what you need to keep you on the path. Yeah. But yeah, as I mentioned, we can't encourage you enough to weigh in. RayandSidShow@gmail.com. Sid and I will be happy to take. Oh, that hasn't happened since week 3, and that happened to me. You got the booby
It's
prize.
done.
Oh, it's okay.
Look at that.
Well, that survived. Mine jumped off and committed suicide.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, but
Okay.
and it did. I made sure I put that out of its misery.
Is it okay? It's okay, right?
We were literally just about done. I was about to sign off, and that thing decided, no, I'm gonna upstage him again.
Okay.
Again, that's okay.
Oh my gosh.
Well, thank you for indulging us, and I hope we might have, even if we touched one person tonight,
Yeah.
we are always here for you.
And we appreciate you very
We
much.
do appreciate you. Dare to be better.
With Ray and Sid.
We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, stay inspired.
Hey, thanks for checking us out. If you enjoyed the show, like the video, subscribe to this channel, and please tell your friends. We'd also love it if you headed over to daretobebettershow.com for tons of cool photos, extras, and a chance to shop for some sweet show swag. Say that 5 times fast. I could barely say it once. If you keep coming, we'll keep delivering. Thanks again.